Hello everyone, and welcome to DM Tools with MaxMcCool. We have returned, and on today's episode of Monsters Manifested, we're going to begin our adventure covering demons. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Spawned in the infinite layers of the abyss, demons are the embodiment of chaos and evil, engines of destruction barely contained in monstrous form. Possessing no compassion, empathy, or mercy, they only exist to destroy. Spawn of chaos. The abyss creates demons as extensions of itself, spontaneously forming fiends out of filth and carnage. Some are unique monstrosities, while others represent uniform strains virtually identical to each other. Other demons, such as manes, are created from mortal souls shunned or cursed by the gods, or which are otherwise trapped in the abyss. Capricious elevation. Demons respect power and power alone. A greater demon commands shrieking mobs of lesser demons because it can destroy any lesser demon that dares to refuse its commands. A demon's status grows with the blood it spills. The more enemies that fall before it, the greater it becomes. A demon might spawn as manes, then become a dretch, and eventually transform into a vrock after untold time spent fighting and surviving in the abyss. Such elevations are rare, however, for most demons are destroyed before they attain significant power. The greatest of those that do survive make up the ranks of the demon lords that threaten to tear the abyss apart by their endless warring. By expending considerable magical power, demon lords can raise lesser demons into greater forms, though such promotions never stem from a demon's deeds or accomplishments. Rather, a demon lord might warp a manes into a quasit when it needs an invisible spy, or turn an army of dretches into Hezris when marching against a rival lord. Demon lords only rarely elevate demons to the highest ranks, fearful of inadvertently creating rivals to their own power. Abyssal Invasions. Wherever they wander across the abyss, demons search for portals to the other planes. They crave the chance to slip free of their native realm and spread their dark influence across the multiverse, undoing the works of the gods, tearing down civilizations, and reducing the cosmos to despair and ruin. Some of the darkest legends of the mortal realm are built around the destruction wrought by demons set loose in the world. As such, even nations embroiled in bitter conflict will set their differences aside to help contain an outbreak of demons, or to seal off abyssal breaches before the fiends can break free. Signs of corruption. Demons carry the stain of abyssal corruption with them, and their mere presence changes the world for the worse. Plants wither and die in area where abyssal breaches and demons appear. Animals shun the sites where a demon has made a kill. The site of a demonic infestation might be fouled by a stench that never abates, by areas of bitter cold or burning heat, or by permanent shadows that mark the places where these fiends lingered. Eternal evil. Outside of the abyss, death is a minor nuisance that no demon fears. Mundane weapons can't stop these fiends, and many demons are resistant to the energy of the most potent spells. When a lucky hero manages to drop a demon in combat, the fiend dissolves into foul ichor. It then instantly reforms in the abyss, its mind and essence intact even as its hatred is inflamed. The only way to truly destroy a demon is to seek it in the abyss and kill it there. Protected essence. A powerful demon can take steps to safeguard its life essence using secret methods and abyssal metals to create an amulet into which part of that essence is seated. If the demon's abyssal form is ever destroyed, the amulet allows the fiend to reform at a time and place of its choosing. Obtaining a demonic amulet is a dangerous enterprise, and simply seeking such a device risks drawing the attention of the demon that created it. A creature possessing a demonic amulet can exact favors from the demon whose life essence the amulet holds, or inflict great pain if the fiend resists. If an amulet is destroyed, the demon that created it is trapped in the abyss for a year and a day. Demonic cults. Despite the dark risks involved in dealing with fiends, the mortal realm is filled with creatures that covet demonic power. Demon lords manipulate these mortal servants into performing ever greater acts of depravity, furthering the demon lord's ambitions in exchange for magic and other boons. However, A demon regards any mortals in its service as tools to use and then discard at its whim, consigning their mortal souls to the abyss. Demon summoning. Few acts are as dangerous as summoning a demon, and even mages who bargain freely with devils fear the fiends of the abyss. Though demons yearn to sow chaos on the material plane, they show no gratitude when brought there, raging against their prisons and demanding release. Those who would risk summoning a demon might do so to wrest information from it, press it into service, or send it on a mission that only a creature of absolute evil can complete. Preparation is key, and experienced summoners know the specific spells and magic items that can force a demon to bend to another's will. If a single mistake is made, a demon that breaks free shows no mercy as it makes its summoner the first victim of its wrath. Bound demons. The Book of Vile Darkness, the Black Scrolls of On, and the Demonomicon of Igwilv are the foremost authorities on demonic matters. These ancient tomes describe techniques that can trap the essence of a demon on the material plane, placing it within a weapon, idol, or piece of jewelry, and preventing the fiend's return to the abyss. An object that binds a demon must be specially prepared with unholy incantations and innocent blood. It radiates a palpable evil, chilling and fouling the air around it. A creature that handles such an object experiences unsettling dreams and wicked impulses, but is able to control the demon whose essence is trapped within the object. Destroying the object frees the demon, which immediately seeks revenge against its binder. Demonic possession. No matter how secure its bindings, a powerful demon often finds a way to escape an object that holds it. When a demonic essence emerges from its container, it can possess a mortal host. Sometimes a fiend employs stealth to hide a successful possession. Other times, it unleashes the full brunt of its fiendish drives through its new form. As long as the demon remains in possession of its host, the soul of that host is in danger of being dragged to the abyss with the demon if it is exorcised from the flesh, or if the host dies. If a demon possesses a creature and the object binding the demon is destroyed, the possession lasts until powerful magic is used to drive the demonic spirit out of its host. Demon Lords. The chaotic power of the abyss rewards demons of particular ruthlessness and ingenuity with a dark blessing, transforming them into unique fiends whose power can rival the gods. These demon lords rule through cunning or brute force, hoping to one day claim the prize of absolute control over all of the abyss. Reward for outsiders. Although most demon lords rise up from the vast and uncountable mobs of demons rampaging across the abyss, the plane also rewards outsiders that conquer any of its infinite layers. The elven goddess Lolth became a demon lord after Corellon Larethian cast her into the abyss for betraying elven kind. Sages claim that the Dark Prince Grazd originated on some other plane before stealing his abyssal title from another long-forgotten demon lord. Power and control. The greatest sign of a demon lord's power is its ability to reshape an abyssal realm. A layer of the abyss controlled by a demon lord becomes a twisted reflection of that fiend's vile personality, and demon lords seldom leave their realms for fear of allowing another creature to reshape and seize it. As with other demons, a demon lord that dies on another plane has its essence returned to the abyss, where it reforms into a new body. Likewise, a demon lord that dies in the abyss is permanently destroyed. Most demon lords keep a portion of their essence safely stored away to prevent such a fate. And that's what we've got when it comes to a sort of general synopsis of demons in the abyss and sort of how they function and their hierarchy of power, their sort of tiered system being based on sort of this strange ranking where you have the lords and then the lords' underlings, and superior ranked demons might quote unquote promote a lower ranked demon to something higher, but mostly just to serve its needs and sort of act as a tool of some sort to further its motives. But I think that there's quite a bit of information here that we can pull from and utilize to create a couple of scenarios, adventures, an entire campaign. Realistically, you could develop something entirely based on demons from the abyss and sort of their intent with the material plane and its outcome or its fate, as it were. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the different demon lords that are presented and sort of create a general setup, if you would, for the following types of demons, which I'll present in their own individual episodes, so we can sort of laser focus and hone in on the specific monster and how we would create scenarios around it. So after I finish reading off the different demon lords and sort of their notoriety, what they're known for, their sort of behavior patterns and stuff like that, I'll then develop a kind of overarching idea or concept for what could be a campaign or a section of a campaign for a number of levels, let's say, for your party to go through. And the following episodes from this one will be more specifically dedicated to the demons that are presented in the monster manual itself. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the demon lords, shall we? Baphomet. The demon lord Baphomet, also known as the Horned King and the Prince of Beasts, rules over minotaurs and other savage creatures. If he had his way, civilization would crumble and all races would embrace their base animal savagery. The Prince of Beasts appears as a huge black-furred minotaur with iron horns, red eyes, and a blood-soaked mouth. His iron crown is topped with the rotting heads of his enemies, while his dark armor is set with spikes and skull-like serrations. He carries a huge glaive named Heart Cleaver, but often hurls it into the fray so as to face his enemies with horns and hooves. Demogorgon. The sibilant beast and the self-styled Prince of Demons, Demogorgon yearns for nothing less than undoing the order of the multiverse. An insane assemblage of features and drives, the Prince of Demons inspires fear and hatred among other demons and demon lords. Demogorgon towers 3 times the height of a human. His body is sinuous as a snake's and as powerful as a great ape's. Suckered tentacles take the place of his arms. His saurian lower torso ends in webbed and clawed feet, and a forked tail whose whip-like tips are armed with cruel blades. The Prince of Demons has 2 baleful baboon heads, both of them mad. It is only the conflict between the 2 halves of his dual nature that keeps the Demon Lord's ambitions in check. Grozd. The Demon Lord Grozd appears as a darkly handsome figure nearly 9 feet tall. Those who refer to the Dark Prince as the most humanoid of the Demon Lords vastly underestimate the capacity for evil in his scheming heart. Grozd is a striking physical specimen, whose demonic nature shows in his ebon skin, pointed ears, yellow fangs, crown of horns, and 6-fingered hands. He delights in finery, pageantry, and sating his decadent desires with subjects and consorts alike, among whom incubi and succubi are often his favorites. Dewyblex. The demon lord of slimes and oozes, Dewyblex is a stew of noxious fluids that lurks in the abyssal depths. The wretched faceless lord cares nothing for cultists or mortal servants, and its sole desire is to turn all creatures into formless copies of its horrid self. In its resting state, Dewyblex spreads out in a noxious mass, bubbling and filling the air with a profound stench. On the rare occasions when creatures confront the demon lord, Dewyblex draws itself up into a shuddering cone of slime striated with veins of black and green. Baleful red eyes swim within its gelatinous body, while dripping pseudopods of ooze lash out hungrily at any creature they can reach. Lolth. The demon queen of spiders is the evil matron of the drow. Her every thought is touched by malice, and the depth of her viciousness can surprise even her most faithful priestesses. She directs her faithful while she weaves plots across the worlds of the material plane, looking forward to the time when her drow followers bring those worlds under her control. Lolth appears as a lithe, imperious drow matriarch when she manifests to her followers in the mortal realm, which she does with unusual frequency when battle breaks out, or if she has a reason to remind her followers to fear her. Lolth's lower body transforms into that of a huge demonic spider whose spiked-tipped legs and mandibles tear foes apart. Orcus. Known as the Demon Prince of Undeath and the Blood Lord, the Demon Lord Orcus is worshipped by the undead and by living creatures that channel the power of undeath. A brooding and nihilistic entity, Orcus yearns to make the multiverse a place of death and darkness, forever unchanging except by his will. The demon prince of undeath is a foul and corpulent creature with a humanoid torso, powerful goat legs, and the desiccated head of a ram. His sore-ridden body stinks of disease, but his decaying head and glowing red eyes are as a creature already dead. Great black bat wings sprout from his back, stirring reeking air as he moves. Orcus wields a malevolent artifact known as the Wand of Orcus, a mace-like rod of obsidian topped by a humanoid skull. He surrounds himself with undead, and living creatures not under his control are anathema to him. Yinogu. Known as the Gnoll Lord and the Beast of Butchery, the demon lord Yinogu hungers for slaughter and senseless destruction. Gnolls are his mortal instruments, and he drives them to ever greater atrocities in his name. Delighting in sorrow and hopelessness, the Gnoll Lord yearns to turn the world into a wasteland in which the last surviving gnolls tear each other apart for the right to feast upon the dead. Yinogu appears as a huge scarred gnoll with a spiky crest of black spines and eyes that burn with emerald flame. His armor is a patchwork of shields and breastplates claimed from fallen foes and decorated by those foes' flayed skins. Yinogu can summon a triple flail he calls the Butcher, which he wields to deadly effect or wills to fly independently into battle as he tears foes apart with teeth and claws. Other demon lords. No one knows the full number of demon lords that rage in the abyss. Given the infinite depths of that plane, powerful demons constantly rise to become demon lords, then fall almost as quickly. Among the demon lords whose power has endured long enough for demonologists to name them are Fraz Urblu, the Prince of Deception, Koschiki, the Prince of Wrath, Pazuzu, Prince of the Lower Aerial Kingdoms, and Zugtmoy, Lady of Fungi. Demon types. Demonologists organize the chaotic distribution of demons into broad categories of power known as types. Most demons fit into one of 6 major types, with the weakest categorized as Type 1 and the strongest categorized as Type 6. Demons outside the 6 main types are categorized as minor demons and demon lords. So, in order of rank, or in order of strength from weakest to strongest, demons by type are Type 1, with the Barlgura, the Shadow Demon, the Vrok. Type 2, with the Kazme and the Hezro. Type 3, with the Glabrezu and the Yoklal. Type 4, with the example of the Nalfeshni. Type 5, with the example of the Merilith. And Type 6, with the examples of the Baelor and the Goristro. And that's what we've got when it comes to the general overview of demons, the types or rankings by strength of these demons and demon lords, as well as a bit of information on the abyss. And I think that there's actually quite a bit here for us to establish an overarching theme for how we would want to present an adventure or a campaign, certainly a series of adventures. And that's without even getting into the specific types of demons and sort of framing an adventure scenario around them. So as I previously mentioned, I think what I'll do is I'll create specific episodes for these specific demons and sort of frame an adventure or even a campaign, if possible, around them and their intentions and their abilities and sort of their descriptions. But for right now, what I'll do right now is I'll try to come up with some overarching scenarios or settings or general themes that you could use to then present these demons to your party at the table in a variety of scenarios or adventures or encounters and stuff of that nature. So, without further ado, let's get into some adventure crafting, shall we? Alright, so that was quite a bit to take in, but as I was reading through this information, there were a few ideas that sort of came to me and popped into my mind, which I think could be utilized in a very effective way for a sort of theme or tone to your setting, to your campaign for your players. And that's namely the fact that these demons, as chaotic as they may be, are very consistent in specific aspects. One is the consistency in the ranking of types of demons. 2 is the process in which demons are sort of promoted into higher ranks. typically to serve the purpose of superior demons or demon lords and kind of fulfill their commands as such. However, interestingly, these higher demons or demon lords can sort of sabotage themselves by promoting or providing more power to a lesser demon type and bringing them up the ranks, as it were, to where they could create sort of their own rival. I think that that can develop a very interesting theme for a campaign setting where your players would effectively be in a realm or an environment where perhaps there is a battle or a war between two demon lords, and they are both vying for power, and the way that they are vying for power is by perhaps wreaking havoc and destruction and chaos on the material plane, and whoever can claim more will become the ruling demon lord of the material plane, as well as the minor demons, the legions of demons that the opposing demon lord has. You could create something to the effect of even an upstart demon lord, as it mentions in the last paragraph, that there are a number of other demon lords that, and nobody really knows the full number. You could have some, sort of upstart demon lord that is attempting to vie for power and position by waging a campaign to take over the material plane before all of the other demon lords, and where all of the other demon lords have failed. And your adventurers then have to go through their campaign seeking out types of demons or seeking out tears in the material plane or portals from the abyss into the material plane and contend with these demons. And the great thing about that is that as your players level up and become more powerful and find more gear or magic items and stuff like that, make more connections with, who knows, factions, kingdoms, armies, stuff like that, you can then follow suit and present them with higher and higher demon types, or higher ranked demon types rather, in order for them to go up against, right? You could even create it in such a fashion where perhaps the players at the table, perhaps the player characters are they are themselves part of a faction of demon hunters. Imagine something to the effect of Van Helsing or something like that, a monster hunter of some sort, but for demons. You could even then implement something like a demonologist who is within the faction, who attempts to understand and learn and study demons more and more as much as they possibly can, and they charge the players with the tasks of contending and overcoming these threats and collecting anything they can from the demons before the demons' bodies sort of quickly decompose and return to the abyss, right? That can lead to a lot of great sort of interaction and different scenarios that could sort of spontaneously occur, or that you could plan out and construct sort of the pathway to lead the players there. You could even get it to the point where perhaps the demonologist that's charging them with these quests or these missions to collect any information or any material or any trinkets or tokens or what have you of these demons, you can have the demonologist perhaps become corrupted themselves, and now they start summoning these monsters, trying to give themselves this sort of abyssal chaotic power, and they themselves want to rule the material plane. Perhaps they see themselves as potentially becoming something like a demon lord of their own, or perhaps becoming a ward to the demon lords, or a warden of the material plane for the demon lords in service to them. And you could implement all sorts of things. You could use, like I said, you could use the trinkets or medallions or amulets, talismans. Perhaps the demonologist is trying to bind as many demons as they can. And that's sort of the task of your party, right? Is the party is sent on missions or quests to go find these rifts or to seek out these demons or sightings of them, rumors of them, wherever the chaos and destruction may be. And their task is not necessarily to defeat the demons, but it's to trap them into these talismans and bring them back to the demonologist for the demonologist to study further, right? Something to the tune of like a medieval fantasy Ghostbusters, right? Another way you could go about it is by using specific demon lords, like these greater ones like Lolth or Jewy-Blex or Yinogu or Grast, Orcus. Orcus is probably the most recognizable demon lord, and you can use their disposition, as it were, and their goals to then drive the narrative in that direction, right? If you want something that's combat heavy with a lot of battles and wars and, perhaps the crumbling kingdoms of the material plane, then you could go with something like Baphomet, who's the horned king, the prince of beasts, and appears to be almost like Ares, the Greek god, or Roman Mars, the god of war, and just seeks out this sort of battle and chaos and destruction and loves combat and hurls himself into the fray and just causes all sorts of devastation. So you could present things like that, where maybe your players go into town and go into a kingdom, and they're traveling through, just sort of passing by wayward travelers, and they stay the night, and they're awoken in the middle of the night by rumbling earth and what sounds like thunder crashing in the sky. And as they look out their window, they see these gigantic tears peering out of nowhere from the ether, and they rip open, and just a bunch of these highly aggressive demons pour out, and they're, sort of taking an active, warfaring, combative approach to corrupting and destroying and taking over pieces of the material plane, and your players have to fight them or defend the kingdom with the guard, or perhaps they have to flee if there's too many of them and they're being overwhelmed. With that being said, you could go the opposite direction. You could go with something more to the effect of Lolth, and if you want your adventure, or if you want your campaign to lead into the Underdark and to deal with the Drow, you can bring Lolth into the mix. And Lolth, as it mentions, has this unusual frequency with which she appears to her followers, and she seeks out a means to bring all of these worlds to her control. And you could have something to that effect, where your party goes into the Underdark to deal with what have you, perhaps it's just like an extermination mission, and they're just there to destroy a camp of evil drow and stuff like that. But what ends up happening is they end up receiving or finding out some sort of information that proves that there's a grander scheme afoot, and that Lolth is actively making an effort to wrest ruling power from the material plane, from these mortals or what have you, and bring them under her control. Another thing that you could do, which I think would be pretty cool and allow for a bit more variety, is you could even create a campaign or a setting where a couple of the demon lords have decided to work together, right, in order to take over the planes and the multiverse and what have you. And with them working in tandem with each other, they've become very powerful and successful, where individually they may have all failed. And because of that, your players have to venture out into these strange, corrupted, dangerous places and do their best to overcome the demonic curse or plague or threat that seems to be encroaching upon their realm, right? And I think that could be compelling, both as a narrative and as a system for a DM, because then you have the freedom to present varying threats that are all within the same theme. You provide the players with opportunities to venture to different locations or areas to contend with the monsters of specific demon lords. You can expand upon your setting. You can expand upon your world. You can provide your players with a bit more choice and agency as to where they wish to go next to defend from the demons or to clear out the infestation of the demons. And as a dungeon master, it provides you with that much more variety that you could use in order to generate some encounters and scenarios using different types of demons, right? Now, there's nothing to say that you cannot use one type of demon with a different demon lord. Obviously, you can do what you please in your world and for your game. But I think that you could create something quite interesting when, for example, let's take Lolth and Yinogu, and your party is adventuring through some town, and as they make it to this small village or something like that, the village is being attacked or accosted by a horde of gnolls, right? Just a horde of gnolls is coming in and terrorizing and destroying everything in that town, killing the civilians and taking food and, cursing the land they step on. And as this is taking place and your players, your adventurers jump into the fray and do their best to contend with this gnoll incursion, what happens as they're distracted or they're concentrated on taking on the gnoll threat is a large hole or portal or, a large opening comes out from the earth beneath them, or perhaps, the village is at the base of a mountain or the side of a hill or cliff face, and the rock wall crumbles open and, a legion of drow come out and begin to assist the gnolls. I think that could lead to some very interesting outcomes, very interesting scenarios, and I think it'll leave your players asking questions, to the effect of, why would the gnolls and the drow be working together? Why would they help each other? I didn't even think gnolls really cared about drow, and drow probably thought gnolls were highly inferior. And you can develop and create all sorts of intriguing scenarios and sort of thought processes to get the gears turning and make your players kind of think a little differently, think outside the box, and get a little bit creative. And it gives you the freedom to get a little bit creative with it as well, right? Which I think is one of the wonderful things of playing D&D and tabletop RPGs in general is, the games themselves are fun and they're great pastime, a great hobby, a great opportunity to spend time with people you enjoy the company of and make great memories. But it also is an opportunity for you to work out and exercise your creativity and to create things that can be significantly memorable because they were so out of left field or so outside the box, But all in all, I think that demons are a very cool and interesting monster type to use in your campaigns, or even just for a number of adventures or perhaps a scenario or something like that. And I think that there's just so much there that you can pull from and sort of mix and match and, sort of tinker with to your heart's desire until you come up with something that you think is compelling or interesting or fun or that your players will enjoy. And I think that there's sort of infinite instances or infinite scenarios that you can develop, of course, with anything else in this book and any of the other books. But I think that demons kind of facilitate that in a really good way because they provide an overarching synopsis of their, I guess you could call it culture or order of operations, and then the personas and dispositions and intents of the lords. And then they go down into the lower ranks and present those monsters as well, which we will get to in the following episodes. And I think that the use of demons obviously can be used as a singular kind of one-off encounter, right? Where perhaps there's a corrupted merchant who has a talisman or an amulet that they sold to someone else, and unbeknownst to the person who purchased the talisman from the merchant, they took a look at it and turned it on its back. They flipped it over, and on the backside was an inscription that they read out loud, and they got it right the first time, and they released the demon, and the demon is now running rampant across the town or the city or the land and what have you, and the players have to go and take them on and defeat them and save the village. And you can absolutely use that as an adventure, as a scenario, but I think that there's so much here that you could use that as even an introductory adventure or as something that occurs later on down the line within an overarching campaign that involves demons in a more general sense. But with that being said, that's all I got for you fine folks today. I'd like to thank you all very, very much for tuning in and listening to this episode of Monsters Manifested. I know I've been gone a while. There's been a lot of life happening, as it were, I'm sure for you folks as well as myself. But I'm glad to be back doing this. I'm glad to get right back into it, pick up where we left off, and keep going forward to the next ones. Speaking of which, next episode of Monsters Manifested will be covering the first listed demon with the Balor. And I think that the Balor will be a strong start to our progress through the different types of demons in the Monster Manual. So, if you like what you heard, if you'd like to hear more, please feel free to subscribe, download, leave a rating, leave a comment, all of that good stuff. And if you're listening to this episode of Monsters Manifested on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell thingy to get notified when I release new episodes, all that good stuff. as it would help me out quite a bit, help the podcast out, help the channel out. I'd appreciate it very, very much. And it would help the channel, the podcast, grow and reach more people that may be having a hard time understanding or figuring out or developing scenarios and adventures and sessions for their table. But that's all for now. Until next time, thank you all very much, and have a good day, everyone.